Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Red Steak. Let's get started. So I haven't talked about this yet, and I'm not going to talk about it much in the future, unless some development comes up. But now I'm going to finally address the Aaron Rodgers situation. So as we know, he does not want to play for the Packers anymore. Some people think that Rodgers and the Packers will mend fences, and that is just full of nonsense. If you're one of those people that's on that side of the argument, are you confident about that statement? Some people will throw out that this is just like, the Russell Wilson situation. It will work out. You want to know the difference between these situations are? After Wilson made his demands, they gave him a couple of alignment and free agency and won the draft, and they drafted another weapon in the draft and stuff like that. So now, problem solved. Go Hawks. Also, you see other excellent front offices helping out their QBs. Chiefs, oh, we need an O-line. We're going to get an O-line this offseason. We got you, Mahomes. Ravens, we got you, Lamar. We're going to draft two good wide receivers in the draft, and we brought in Sammy Watkins. Bam. Tampa Bay, okay, Tom, we're going to bring everyone back. Bam. Those are the organizations that are helping out their QBs. What have the Packers done to make you think they're going to help Rodgers after all this time for the past decade? Spoiler alert, the answer is nothing. The reason why it's like a 95% chance at this point that Rodgers and Packers won't make up is because Rodgers has lost respect for the organization. His frustration grew over time when the Packers, one draft after another, would draft defensive players in the early picks. And at the beginning, right after Rodgers won the Super Bowl, that their defense was a problem. So at that point, it was good to address. But then over the past 4 or 5 seasons or so, okay, now you can start addressing the offensive side with your early picks at that point. But they never did. Um, And even in this draft, the first two picks, were not exactly a weapon for Rodgers. And the whole fiasco with the NFC title game didn't help. But the final straw was when the Packers GM went rogue and drafted Jordan Love, his replacement, without telling him in advance. That was when Rodgers ultimately snapped. You have to realize this actually is similar to two different situations. First is Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, I mean, obviously, Bill O'Brien wasn't the smartest GM, so therefore that's why he got fired as a GM and then eventually coached, especially given Watson. I mean, not Watson, Hopkins, which made Watson really mad. But what was the big straw was, he told, the owner stuff, hey, I want to have Newsy on GM coach. Oh, okay. And then they promised him that they would do that, but then they completely ignored it. And therefore now Watson lost respect for the Houston organization, therefore demanded a trade. And reports have come out that if the whole legal situation didn't come up with Deshaun Watson, that he would have been traded by now. And they would have gave in, even though originally they said not to. Um, and also, another situation is similar is Tom Brady. The reason why Tom Brady left New England after 2 decades, besides, the lack of weapons at the current state of the team, was that Belichick never gave Tom Brady respect. And he wanted to go someplace where people would respect him and appreciate him. And that's what happened in Tampa Bay. Notice both of these situations had the star QB either on a different team or not playing at all right now. So for the people who think the Rodgers Packers can mend fences, I'll ask again, why do you think that situation will be any different? So now that I've convinced you that I'm right, it's time to go over my top 5 trade destinations for Rodgers. I do acknowledge retirement. Like, he says he's contemplating retirement, and I understand that could be a legitimate option. He could pull a Gronkowski and after a year of retirement come back out and have his team of choices, which could be scary. Or he can be like Andrew Luck and just literally be, no, I'm done, I'm retired, I'm good, I can do Jeopardy, whatever, I'm good. Either way, that is bad for the Packers. So if I'm the Packers here, don't be idiots. Don't be like the Houston Texans saying, oh no, we're not going to trade Deshaun Watson. Trade Aaron Rodgers and get as much value from him as you can. Especially, in my opinion, he's going to be worth at least 3 first-round picks and then maybe a starter. That's a good thing, especially if you think Jordan Love is the answer and that's why you drafted him. Then you should have no problem moving on from Aaron Rodgers if you're that confident in Love and drafting in the first round to replace Aaron Rodgers. You should just start him. That's what you drafted him for, right? Wasn't to just sit on the bench and drink Kool-Aid. It was to start him at some point. Well, now's the time. But anyway, so now here are my top 5 trade destinations for Aaron Rodgers. One is Denver. The reason why this is my top option is not necessarily because of the roster itself, although it's pretty good. But it's because he wants to be out near West, near Cali, so he can, do Jeopardy, be near home, have the Hollywood life with his fiance, actress, and stuff like that. And when you do look at the roster, though, for Denver, you have two capable running backs. I like Melvin Gordon. I like that they drafted Javonte Williams. That was a good get. They have good weapons, Jared Judy, Sutton, Handler, all that. And then you have a good tight end, Noah Fant. And then a defense they got a lot better this offseason, adding Kyle Fuller, drafting Patrick Surtain, and other people in the draft, stuff like that. And bring Von Miller back from injury and stuff like that. You have a good defense now. So there are a couple problems I can acknowledge from this one. The O line's not going to be as good as Green Bay's. Another one is Fangio's a defensive coach. That would be the first time he's had a defensive head coach for his NFL career. I'm not sure if he would like that or not. And then third is that he'd be in the same division as Mahomes and Herbert twice a year. That's not going to be easy. But if you just set aside those arguments, though, look at the big picture, look at the pros, though, it's a big enough pro to where you're thinking, okay, Denver's the place to go. Be like Peyton Manning. Go help win them one Super Bowl. Second is Cleveland. Now, location is definitely not ideal, but everything else here screams that this is the place. This is second and third best roster in the NFL after their offseason moves. The offense would be way better than the Packers' offense last year, which is saying something. And then the defense has improved for making a bunch of moves this offseason. Again, you're competing in a tough division here with Baltimore and Pittsburgh, but imagine turning a clown of a franchise into a champion. That would help Rodgers' legacy right there. For people who say what about Baker Mayfield? Well, what about him? There's a reason why they're giving him the 5th-year option without talking contract extension like they've done for, like right now they're talking about trying to work out a contract extension for Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. But there's a reason why they're not doing it for Baker Mayfield right now. They want to see how he does coming out of success. But it's just like, even if he does fine, this Rodgers is obviously an upgrade. Therefore, you want to do Aaron Rodgers. 3 is Washington. You may laugh at this idea, but it actually makes a lot of sense here. Washington, we know, has good defense. They drafted and have some underrated weapons on offense. Now, it's not Packers or Cleveland offense, but, there's enough weapons there. Rivera has taken Cam to the Super Bowl, so we know he can coach. The biggest factor here is that since the NFC East is one of the worst divisions, he can automatically own the division every year and have a head start in the playoffs, like he does right now. That should sound good to him. 4th is Miami. I know the organization is all in on Tua, but if you're Brian Flores, you have to face Josh Allen and Doug McDermott, defensive coach, twice a year. You have to face the GOAT Belichick, a defensive coach, twice a year. And then you have to face Robert Saleh, a defensive coach, twice a year. You need Rodgers to overcome that. You're not going to overcome that with Tua. I don't care how good Tua becomes. He's an immobile quarterback, very small quarterback. He has to have a clean pocket in order to do anything relevant. So, if Miami, I'd move on to Aaron Rodgers here, and that way he can give you some type of chance. And while most of the roster's done, since most of them are good, like if Rodgers went to Miami, I'll make them second favorite behind Kansas City. That's how good they would be. So that's an option right there. And on the Green Bay side of things, this is the one option we're like, okay, this would be good for us, since Miami has a bunch of draft capital. 5 is this is a little bit of a wild card here, is Carolina. Now, this one has not been talked about much, but if you're Carolina, why wouldn't you try to make this move? Even if Sam Darnold resurrects his career, and he ain't going to be no Aaron Rodgers, and it's still a huge risk to assume such. So therefore, you have Joe Brady as your offense coordinator. Rodgers would like that. Carolina has drafted and signed a whole bunch of weapons on offense, and has tried to improve that offensive line. So now all of those weapons should be better now. And it's like, the Falcons, they're good offensively, but as far as the whole team goes, I think they won't be that relevant for the next couple of years as they're trying to semi-rebuild. And the Saints, we don't know what they're going to be with either Hill or Winston right now. It's going to wait the season. And besides, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which, Brady could retire 2 years, that would become an easier division later on. So it's like, that's a good option there. Now, I know there's other options on the table, but I'm not thinking of those right now. Now, if Aaron Rodgers ends up sitting out the whole season and he doesn't get traded till next offseason, then that opens up more teams. So then you got teams like, the Saints, where they're not sold on Taysom Hill or they're not sold on Jameis Winston after a year because both of them have 1-year contracts, then you can bring in Aaron Rodgers. Or if you're the Giants, if Danny Dimes doesn't produce this year, like I don't think he will, then that becomes an option. That's New York and everything, and that'd be an attractive market. Or after this year, if Frank White can't fix Carson Wentz after this season, then that's a Super Bowl roster. That is ready to compete. Or next year, when Big Ben retires after 1 year, then you can go to Pittsburgh there and compete immediately. So those open up a bunch more options. But that's assuming he doesn't get traded until next year. But if he does, if you're looking to get traded this summer or something like that, then these are the 5 options. Again, Denver, Cleveland, Washington, Miami, and Carolina that I would consider. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel and share about me. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.